Hi, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of the PokerStories Podcast. And we've got a special guest today, Ilya, who is going to introduce himself in a little bit. And a very, very interesting topic as I think about it. We're going to talk about GipsyTeam, a huge Russian-speaking, I would say even international poker school platform. And we want to get some insights on how it all started, what the motivation was behind it, and how it's going. So, Ilya, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you here.
I didn't even know that it will be a podcast, so it kind of, hopefully my English is not that bad, but I rarely, especially recently, I rarely give interviews in English for sure, because I still live in Russia, and with all this, I will say, war and political stuff, it's quite a rare situation when you can speak, especially about GipsyTeam in English. But hopefully it will be interesting for your audience, and it will be a pleasure for me to introduce our site and our company and community to the broader audience, because now we have versions of our site in English, in Spanish, and even in Portuguese, but they are not popular at all. We are trying, to make things happen for our non-Russian sites, but obviously we are better known as a Russian-speaking site, a Russian site and Russian community. But for a long time, we were looking at the numbers even many years ago, and we were very happy that by the numbers we were at some moment probably the third most popular poker information site and poker information platform, trailing only 2+2 and Poker News. I don't know what is the situation now, because obviously these numbers of visitors and of the visits, they are not that important. It's much more important how much money your affiliate program is bringing, because it's the core of any poker related business if you are not organizing poker games yourself. And we were never doing this, we were always from the very beginning, we were not planning to make a poker site where you can play poker, but we were planning to make a site where you can talk about poker, when you can learn to play poker, when you can read some, I don't know, history articles, some biographies, some interviews with the best players, and the huge part of our plan was that at that time we were Russian speaking site, but we were not focusing on the Russian players, because they were kind of only upcoming players mostly at that time. Of course, it was always a huge boost for our popularity when some Russian guys were doing well in the international tournaments. But we were, as the founders of the site, were fluent in English, and we were doing a lot of stuff with the translating a lot of stuff from English and doing interviews with foreign players, and we were translating a lot of stuff from people from Doyle Brunson to Tony Dunst, because it's actually the first series which started GipsyTeam. Was we were translating a series of articles of Bond 18, Tony Dunst, who was a huge. The word influencer didn't exist at that time, but he was an influencer, and we were translating his articles They were called something like things that I understood with time or something like that. Вещи, которые я понял со временем. It's in
Yeah.
Russian. So this series was like a starting point for our site, and we started from the World Series of Poker 2009. But it was interesting because most of our team were participating in this series, and Ivan Demidov, who at that time was one of the co-founders and one of the owners of the site. He was coming from the second place in the World Series of Poker main event 2008. The name owner of the site, Sergei Rybachenko, Gypsy himself, he was also participating in the World Series of Poker 2009, and we were very close at that time. We were good friends with Alex Kostrytsyn, who was already one of the best Russian players at the moment, and who was coming from winning Aussie Millions in 2008 also. So the coverage of these guys, plus 2009 was the first World Series for me personally, and I was already doing a lot of commentary work in Russian. I was doing all the broadcasts on TV, because poker was on TV at that time in Russia. So I was quite well known. I won't say famous or popular, but it's kind of like that. So though I was semi-professional player, but my reputation was okay, I guess. And so people were following the updates. We managed to send a guy who was already an editor-in-chief of our site, who was he was not a founder, but he was behind the concept, I will say, of the site. It was Sergei Safronov, and he was the first one to do live live broadcasts from World Series of Poker events, and they were enormously popular. I mean, like all the Russian poker fans were following these updates about the key events of World Series of Poker 2009. And it was the start of the site. The birthday of the site is May 28, 29, somewhere in the midnight of 2009. So this was when the site was founded.
It's really interesting. So actually you already covered some or most of the questions, which is great. And your English is perfectly fine in the morning.
Just for you, respected viewers, Vladimir sent me 23 questions, and they were quite deep. So when he's saying that I covered most of them, he is a little bit exaggerating.
Yeah. And your English is perfectly fine, and it gets better the more you talk about English. And
I hope so.
Yeah. But actually, what's interesting is, can you, like you mentioned, most of you were connected to poker. What's your background? And maybe you could talk about more of the background of the founders. How did you find poker, and especially online poker? Did you play yourself? Do you have a background of maybe esports or gaming in general, like some other poker players have? How did you come to the idea to create GipsyTeam, and what were you trying to accomplish? Supposed to be a community?
Sure. I'll start from myself, obviously, like it's easier. Yeah, I didn't have any esports background at all. I was just working a regular job. At that time, earlier, I was a part of Kasparov Chess, so I was working with Garry Kasparov himself closely, and I was editor-in-chief of Kasparov Chess website. It was also a huge chess platform. But unfortunately, there is not much money, especially at that time in chess, so it kind of went bankrupt. So I quit and went for some regular jobs. But I still had my chess connections. And one of my friends, acquaintances, He just mentioned that once we were in touch with him, and he told me that his friends who used to play a lot of bridge, they turned to poker, and he also started playing online poker. It was, I think, and he was making some bets. So he was playing online poker on William Hill's site, which was, I think, their poker platform was a part of Cryptologic network. I'm not sure because it was 20 years ago, but I think their site was a part of Cryptologic network. He was playing some like free rolls and very cheap tournaments, and he told me, "I think you will like it. I think you will enjoy the game, and I am even making some money in this game." So yeah, I registered on this William Hill site and started playing some. I learned the rules just reading about the rules online on this very site, on this William Hill site. They had a special poker department, section, poker section. Yeah, and so I started playing, and I really enjoyed the game. And I founded PokerStars, and I remember making I believe it was not 50 but something like $70 deposit, and on the very first day, obviously, well, I mean, I was working, so I had some salary, so it was not like I was playing for the last of my money, but I didn't want to deposit more, and on the first day, as it usually goes, I lost $60 from my 70. But I had $10, and I registered for a tournament, for a $5 tournament. I remember that there was some special tournament with very long levels. So it was online $5 tournament, but the levels were half an hour. It was some kind of marathon. So I played this tournament for almost, I don't know, half a day, and I chopped it free-handed.
Wow.
Won I think $300 or $400. And at that moment, I decided that I need to be more serious about this money. So I started kind of not really grinding, but playing. I had $400, and my bread and butter online were $3 rebuys satellites to Sunday Million. It was very plus EV tournaments, and I made a lot of tickets to Sunday Million, but I had a system. I played Sunday Million itself, the key event on PokerStars at that time. It was $200 buy-in and $1 million guaranteed, and they had it every Sunday. But only if I made free tickets to Sunday Million, I was playing the Sunday Million event. If I qualified 1 or 2 times, or obviously 0 times, but it almost never happened, because these tournaments were very sweet, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I still went to my regular job, and then somehow I got in touch with a guy who was a broadcaster of poker broadcasts, a commentator for poker broadcasts on one of the Russian TV channels. This TV channel was called 7 TV, and they were broadcasting different kind of stuff, mainly World Series of Poker events. But they were also, for example, one of the first events I was commenting on was a heads-up championship that was held in Barcelona at that time. It was like a very popular and huge event. Some American players were coming for that, and best European players were playing. So this guy, we just met online because he was looking for a book by Barry Greenstein, Ace on the River. And I had a PDF of this book. So I told him I have this book and sent him this PDF. All these were, we were pirates at that time, obviously, but and we got in touch, and that at some moment he sent me a message. So you probably know that I'm doing the comments on TV. I told him, yes, of course I know, but now I have an issue with my passport. I need to go somewhere to change my passport, and this TV, Ostankina, it's an object, it's an institution. You cannot enter without your passport, because it's kind of, from Soviet times, security, all this. So, and he told me, okay, so I need to leave for the region I'm originally from. So I have a feeling, I don't know why he had this feeling. I have a feeling that you will be good in doing some commentary. Can you come instead of me? I will help you to get in touch with the TV crew, with the editors, and they have actually at that time I was commenting, and there was a woman in her 50s sitting and checking if I'm doing any grammar mistakes.
Oh, okay.
It was a very serious stuff. Now nobody's checking. I can talk whatever I want about, and just nobody cares. And what mistakes I'm making, nobody's paying any attention. And it was probably 2006 or something like that. So yeah, and I became well known as a commentator because they liked my way of telling stories a lot on TV, and so they I feel kind of guilty, still feel kind of guilty for this guy, Ruslan, who actually introduced me for these TV projects, because soon enough he was they let him go because they liked me more. It was kind of embarrassing for me, but I never pushed for him to, to be kind of sacked, I will say, yeah. But it happened like that. So, and I like this job. I was working for a big publishing house, and but 2-3 days a week I was quitting my regular job a little bit earlier and went to the TV studio making this broadcast. It was not live, of course, TV. They were recording it and then they were putting it on TV. And at that time, there was a guy, Sergei Rybachenko, named Gypsy, who was doing very well. He was winning a lot of money, playing more. He was mainly playing some private games. He was also, casinos were legal in Russia. So he was playing some pretty high stakes private games here. And he was also invited regularly to some private games in London. So he was traveling a lot there. And he was a big gambler, but also at that time he was doing really well. And that at that time he kind of... first he just got in touch with me that he wanted to to meet me because I was known as a commentator at that time, and he was already like a legend in Russian community because he also had this aura around him, like an aura of gambler, of a very easygoing guy. Living the best life possible, something like that. So I remember visiting him at his place in some it was a suburb. It was not a very posh region of Moscow, but I like it because this was the region, this was the part of Moscow I was originally from, and my parents still lived there. So it was kind of a pleasure for me to visit his place. And at that time, he kind of casually told me, well, by your commentary, I got a feeling that you are a decent player. And there are some good tournaments, some expensive tournaments in Moscow. If you want, I have a lot of money. I can back you. Yeah, I said, well, why not? I will try my best, And I was not the only one who was getting this offer from him. So first, at that time, GipsyTeam was like a real team. It was a team of Gypsy. It was a group of players who were backed by Gypsy himself. Oh. And so we were playing some events, first in Russia, and then he started to send people to Vegas and to some international tournaments. Yeah, and the kind of the core of this group, he was backing a lot of people. I remember when in 2008, it was 10K Russian championship in Zavidovo. It's like Tver region. Well, it's not in Moscow, I mean. There were like, I think, around 60 or 70 players in this event. And 14 of them were backed by Gypsy. So he was making like 25% of the prize pool himself. Yeah, so, but the core group of this Gypsy team, the guys who he was backing regularly, and we become quite close. And actually, two guys from our, like, say, group, they were Ivan Demidov and Stanislav Alekhin. They came up with an idea. Let's do a poker site. The idea was kind of vague. It was all like talks, but then on one day, Ivan met Sergei Safronov, who was a marketing and journalist person who was also interested in poker. He was not a professional player, but he was in the process of moving from Russia to Canada. Okay. But he had an idea of a poker site, and kind of it clicked. It worked because we were already planning of doing something, and Sergei, he has his own idea and he has a concept, and he was ready to serve as an editor-in-chief because he had time. We were also, like all of us, I was still working for this publishing house. I was also playing a lot of poker. At that time, I was an editor-in-chief also of Poker News Russia magazine. It will be another 1 hour long story, so we will omit it for sure. Yeah. So we didn't have time to put all our time and efforts in this project. And Sergei Safronov, he had this time. Yeah. So he was working closely with designers, with the programmers, and so early 2009, we paid him salary. We already had money because Ivan Demidov finished second in World Series of Poker 2008 main event. So Gypsy gambled all his money away already at that time. But Ivan had some of, not all his share, but some money from his share. He saved them from the Gypsy, I will say, gambling spree. I will use this rare word, yeah. And also he got a contract from PokerStars. Yeah. He was their pro, PokerStars Pro. Obviously, he was getting some salary. So he had money to support, like this project. Yeah, and so we started working on this project, mainly Sergei Safronov and the programmer Artem, who we hired. he is still with us. He is still working for us after all this almost 20 years. He practically, these two guys, they made our site with their hands, I will say. One as a author of the design concept, of the concept of content concept, and the other one as a programmer. Yeah, and I think it speaks a lot about our company that these guys are still working with us, although formally I am the editor-in-chief now myself, not Sergey, because it was an interesting story. When the war started, I mean, of course, Russia-Ukraine war, Sergey was, I will say, heartbroken and very disappointed, and for some time he had a feeling that we cannot continue making a Russian poker site in these tough days. So he quit, but thankfully he changed his mind in like half a year or a year, I don't remember exactly. And he come back and he still works with us, like I will say, a very important consultant and the marketing man and the development man and the design man. So he still, I will say, holds this flag together with us. Though formally the editor-in-chief of the project is myself at the moment.
That's very, very interesting. Especially when you talk about the backing stuff, that it's so early already happened then. And I actually remember Kastritsin myself. I think he was playing high stakes limit mixed games on Stars as well. So when you're looking back at the time when you were starting GipsyTeam as a poker site or as a forum, there was already 2+2 and PokerStrategy around, I think. Did you try to create something similar for the Russian-speaking community, or did you have a different idea what kind of product you wanted to deliver?
Yeah, I mean, like as I mentioned, Sergei Safronov is probably the better person to speak about it because I will be honest with you, I was a little bit, I was the most skeptical guy from the whole team. I was like, okay, we can make it to make ourselves just like more visible, I will say, more popular. But obviously it won't be any business. We won't make any money from that. It will be just another like platform for us to advertise ourselves. But if you want, like, let's go, let's do it. Actually, we were more looking into Russian sites at the moment. There were two already existing Russian poker sites. There was a forum called CGM. It was like abbreviation for Casino Games. But Casino Games was a site about casino games, obviously. But their forum gradually became like a poker forum. It was forum.cgm.ru, and topics about casino games were somewhere in the very bottom of the list, and all the topics were about poker. And we were all posting there, and it was a main resource, main poker resource at that time. 2+2 was in English, so there was no Russian content there, and at that time there were not enough, I will say, Russians who were fluent in English. So it was not that popular in Russia. And PokerStrategy, it's an interesting story. PokerStrategy, actually, I just had a visitor who is now working with me, who was a black member of PokerStrategy, and he was very active already, maybe not at that time, maybe 1-2 years later. But the PokerStrategy community in Russian, they were more like a secta. I mean, I don't know the English word, like a cult group, I will say,
culture.
you know?
Yeah.
And they were, so there were a lot of people who were already involved in poker, who were already playing poker online and being a part of this poker world, but they were not a part of this cult PokerStrategy group. Maybe they used their $50 bonus, because I remember using it for myself and then for my father-in-law. Yeah, I registered. I told him, Konstantin Matveevich, I will register an account for you because I need this free $50.
Yeah, we all did that.
And he was in his 80s already. I mean, and he says, do whatever you want. Unfortunately, he's not with us for a long time already. Yeah, he was a big friend of mine. But unfortunately, but he was, like also a receiver of this $50. Yeah. So, and that's why, like, PokerStrategy, and they were kind of, I will say, guarded. I don't know if it's the right word, but they were not, like, we had a feeling that we will be able to do something much more inclusive, I will say, because on CGM they were very hard on censorship, I will say, because they were censoring all the mentionings of the other sites, of the other projects. They were banning people here and there easily. And we were all coming with a very, I will say, from the very liberal and democratic and I don't know, like free will attitude. So we were 100% sure that we will do something much more, something which will kind of unite people, I will say, and it worked. And we were all quite well-known people at the moment and very popular. Ivan, he was maybe not so vocal, and but he was the guy who won the most money from all Russian players in the history of poker. He was, and poker was a sport at that time in Russia. It was banned as a sport later. So he was, even in the month he finished second in the November 9. There was a November 9 concept. So it was November 2008. And in this very month on Russian sports channel, he was voted as a sportsman of the month. Wow. So a poker player was sportsman of the month, not some football player, not hockey players. In November they are also using sticks and playing hockey usually, but the poker player was voted by viewers as a player of the month, as a sportsman of the month. So he was quite popular. Gypsy was a legend already with all his gambling, losing millions, winning millions, going to Aussie millions, going to Bahamas, all this kind of stuff, And I was a TV commentator who was kind of bringing this hit to people and commenting on all the events. I was already doing EPT broadcasts also. I was invited by PokerStars to host the EPT broadcasts. So it was a good combo, and we became the most popular site and the most popular forum very quickly. People were coming, people were opening blogs on our platform, people were fighting. We had a status of pro friend. So we were the owners of the site, but we had pro friends, pro друзья. And everybody was dreaming of becoming a pro friend of GipsyTeam, in Russian community. Are you already a pro friend? No, these GipsyTeam guys are tough on you. These were like their usual talk, And also the thing that we were hoping on, there was also a poker off site. It was also a community, but they were not creating, they were creating very small amount and very poor quality, like content, not from the players, but like editors content. And we were, from the very beginning, we had a feeling that we need live reports from the events, history articles, interviews, like, I don't know, I mentioned probably already, text live reports from the big events, video stuff. So we were investing and we were paying money, first of all, to this Sergey Safronov, because we didn't have enough money to hire other journalists. But very soon we hired more people, and we understand that the editing content, editors' content, that the content we create ourselves. So we, of course, forum is built on the user-generated content, and there were these pro friends who were whose blogs were hosted on the main page of the site. But still, we were making a lot of our content ourselves, and it was original. It was well written. Unfortunately, your audience cannot. I still think that some people who worked with us from that time, they joined. They are still work with us till that day. And I strongly believe that they are the best poker journalists in the world.
Very interesting.
If they were English speaking, I think they are English speaking, but they write their stuff in Russian. For example, these days, Mikhail Savinov, who was working with us for, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years, every day he is writing a text report on World Series of Poker main event, which is happening these days. And I think that this is the best article, the best report on the day in World Series of Poker main event you can find in any language, on any site. So I mean, because he has a deep understanding of poker, of all the variations of poker. He was actually at the final table many years ago. He was at the final table of Start High Low Championship, 10K Start High Low Championship himself, with Phil Helmut and Ted Forrest, all these guys on the final table. And my colleague Mikhail was there. And he is a bright journalist, and with a dry but very good sense of humor, and he knows all the poker guys from their older generations. So I think this, and we have another journalist, Alexander Yelensky. Everyone abroad knows him as Iskander. It's his nickname, and he was also doing all these live broadcasts from World Series of Poker events. He has this magic touch that he's a big guy, and he's moving very slowly. But even if there are still 10 tables in any World Series of Poker main event or EPT main event, and there is something important happening on one of the tables, he will be there. Though he is moving with the velocity of a turtle, it looks like. But he will be there. And there are a lot of videos from good old days, from World Series of Poker or from EPT, where something is happening, some huge scandal or some big hand. And there is one thing always, there will be Alexander in the backside. He will be there writing down his notes so we had this, in 5 minutes, there will be a post in GipsyTeam about what happened now between, I don't know, Daniel Negreanu and let's say Mike Matusov and Sean Sheehan. It was earlier, of course. We were not still running. But if Iskander existed at the time where Mike Matusov fought with Shin Sheehan, he would be there with reporting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So it helps us. It helps us to grow at that time, because we had the great team, absolutely best people in business, just with no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. If we go back to how, so in Russia, like you're saying, I didn't even know that it was sports back then. So Ivan Demidov final table was so huge for the whole country, I guess. But
Absolutely, yeah.
can you tell me, how did the Russians actually go online and find about online poker? Because in my experience, what I remember is there was like a time, same applies for the Germans. So like the Germans, they had PokerStrategy, and they were usually very bad players for a long, long time, because PokerStrategy offered like stuff for micro stakes and maybe just solid grind, but the best players were usually Americans and stuff like that. And for the Russians, it was a time where Russians were like catching up, and then out of sudden Russians were the best players. And I wonder how that happened. Like, do you think because of the content that was produced through GipsyTeam, and what was the motivation for the people to grind? And do you think like the mathematical background? Maybe I wonder if because people in Russia are so good at math and physics and stuff, if that helped them.
I think it's more about people getting out of the poorness. I don't know how to say it. I think this is the main motivation. This is now I think that well, it's a small country, but you will randomly meet weak player from Belarus. You know, like it's all the same.
Big player, all winning players. Belarus, like Monaco, has no losing players. It's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. All winning.
Of course, in Russia. There are so many players that at in the first like decade of online poker, Russians as a community were losing players for sure, no doubt about that, because there were some rich people who were gambling, you know, like a lot, there was some legendary Russian players, I think Scout or something.
Yeah. So who was Scout actually?
I don't know.
People, there are stories about Abramovich losing actually his yacht in Barcelona. He was some guy told me at the APT in Barcelona. He was playing it in. He lost his yacht.
I mean, like I don't know who Scout was. I think if it was Abramovich, I would have known it. So I think it was not him. I think it was not him, but anyway, you know, there were people who were losing huge amount of money, you know, in cash games and in tournaments, and actually Gypsy himself was a losing player online who lost a lot of money online because he was winning a lot in these high stakes private games where I remember coming just to visit him in one high stakes game, and he was winning almost every hand. They were playing at that time no limit hold'em, and at one moment he was he came up with some like absolutely crazy bluff when it was absolutely obvious that a woman who was at the table, she had a huge hand and he had absolutely nothing, and he was like, and I remember this feeling that I was watching him and we were close friends already, and I stopped myself from catching his hand, you know, because I wanted just to grab his hand when he was putting money in the bank, in the pot. Well, I didn't do it. He got called, and she had like trips or I don't know, something like that, and she had like and he had like 7 high. And then he explained me, I didn't understand the concept at that time, that in these games, to be welcomed there and to be invited there again, you need to give people a feeling that they can win at least one hand, and that you are not just squeezing money from them, that you are Yeah, actually, it's another story. You are more focused about online, online, but in Russia at some time there were absolutely crazy live games. For example, I have a friend. He is still a very close friend of mine, and once he explained me that he played in a game where the guy went all in on the river for like, I will say, few $100,000, and my friend he had nuts. He had nuts, not flush, and there was no possibility of straight flush. They were playing Omaha, so he's sitting there with the nut flush, and the guy put $200,000 all in on the river, and he was like, nice bet, and he folded. I was like, what? I don't understand. And he explained me that this guy who was moving all in, he was already down. The payment date was next Monday, and he was already losing like $500,000. And this guy, he understood that if he loses, like, let's say 400,000, 300,000, or $500,000, he will pay. But if he loses at the day of the payback, let's say he will be losing 1 million. He will just disappear.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And I told him immediately, just never invite me for such a game, because it won't be. I mean, I am a sports person by my blood. I just cannot fold the nuts. I mean, I won't be able to force myself to think about the consequences. So yeah, they were crazy games, but in general, yeah, Russians. Coming back to your question. For Russians, it was a chance it was a social ladder. Let's put it this way, because there were a lot of young players who were studying in the university, and they have a choice to finish university and to try to find some regular job, which was paying, let's say, $1,000 a month, which was big money at that time in Russia. Maybe, well, when I quit my job, my salary was 2.5K a month, and it was really good. I was like, I was upper middle class for sure, even in Moscow. What? And in poker, there were, like, huge money can be won, and in different forms of the game. So people were trying their best. Of course, some of them did not succeed fighting their demons because they were young and the money looked easy for them, so they gambled all their money away. But some of them kind of, built their careers from the scratch. And GipsyTeam was never actually very good in like educational stuff. So I won't say that we were helping people by our, like, educational videos or something like that. I think that we helped people by building this community, because at first all the big hands, let's say you played a big hand in cash games, or you played a big hand on late stage of some huge tournament, people were posting all these hands on GipsyTeam, and we had discussions with absolutely all the best players. Alex Kastritsun was always like a little bit like a miraculous person, I will say. So he rarely took part in these discussions. But Gypsy himself, all the EPT winners like Max Likov, Andrei Pataychuk, they were first Russian EPT champions. They all took part, and you being like an up and coming player, you could participate in a discussion with like best online players, best live players from who were speaking Russian, and for all this stuff, people were coming on GipsyTeam, and then they started building their own like Skype groups. At that time, Skype was the most popular, and then now it's all, of course, different. Now you cannot find a hand analysis on GipsyTeam forums. I mean, unfortunately, people are writing more about like some traveling, not even dealt with poker. Yeah, some traveling, some their personal issues and all this kind of stuff. So it became, it's not a poker forum anymore. We are trying to make things happen. We are even paying money now for users to create a poker related content. But now it's different. But at that time, it was more community driven, and this community, it kind of shaped the Russian GipsyTeam, kind of shaped Russian poker community, and by that helped to develop poker in Russia, and to, you know, for example, nobody learned from my broadcasts, but everybody started, because like even now people are writing, you know, like writing me that well, it's so great to hear your voice, because I was growing with your voice doing all these broadcasts, and I was lucky, and I was successful in making game look interesting for people. This was, I think, my main role, that I really like the game. I still like the game, and maybe I'm not that enthusiastic about it anymore. About Texas Hold'em, actually, I'm enthusiastic about other variations. But you know, and also I was always good about telling people stories, you know, like about stories about people, and I was always looking. There are even memes about me knowing anything about any player, like his shoe size, his family status, his relationship with his lover, for example. Of course, it's like a joke, but I had a lot of this, because I was also an active player. So I came to all these events also, and I made few deep runs, very deep runs in EPT events. Was close to the final table few times. I was going, 5 times I traveled for World Series, so I know all these guys personally, and I had some, you know, stories with them, personal stories. And the GipsyTeam was kind of the religion was the same. We are telling stories about people who are playing poker for people who are interested in poker. This was like
very interesting. Can you tell me about it? So, like you said, poker was an opportunity to actually make money, and that's perfectly reasonable. It happened, I would say, actually worldwide, to the same degree, to people who went to the university and they figure out, well, I don't have to work part-time. I can play some poker. But then what actually happened in my experience in the United States, many people actually quit. They quit poker when they were at their peak, actually. They quit because they probably wanted to use their degree to go work as a lawyer, dentist, whatever. So the country has probably different offers. How is the situation in Russia in the community with GipsyTeam? Are people still grinding, or did they, once they made an amount of money, move on to do something else? Is it different in Russia than, let's say, in the US? In Germany, actually, same thing is happening for PokerStrategy. People just stopped playing at some point, also because the games got tougher and stuff. How is it for the community for GipsyTeam?
I think it's a little bit different because still there are few opportunities for social laddering in Russia. So I mean, there are stories that someone used to play poker and was a winning player, and then he became, let's say, well, a lawyer. I never heard about that. I mean, maybe some state official. Yes, these stories I know some of them, but the problem is that especially now in Russia, the only way to make real money, I think, is to work for the state in some extent, or in to be a state official, or to work in a state related company. And for many people, myself included, it's a taboo. I mean, I will never do it, because I still live in Russia, but to put it mildly, I strongly disagree with everything the government of Russia is doing, just like everything. And so I'm very happy to be still able to live my life being as far away from the state and from the government as it is possible, let's say. And this is the way of thinking for many people, because I think that in general poker community, of course we have some guys who are supporting, let's say, so-called Z movement. This is the the movement which supports like Putin and the war, and so of course there are some poker players who fell in this, I will say, trap, but they are in the minority for sure, and a lot of people quit the country. A lot of best poker players. For example, I'm the only co-owner of GipsyTeam who lives in Russia. Just the only one. No other owner of the site lives in Russia at the moment. So they the reasons were strongly political for all of them to leave the country. And this is like so. Yeah, of course we have some people who made some money with poker and quit, or mainly who lost all their money with poker and quit, obviously. So, but it's always interesting when there are some hot topic. For example, recently there was a hot topic because one of the most famous Ukrainian online players, Romeo Pro, who online his winnings are more than $12 million only online, but he declared himself bankrupt, and his debts are around, I think, $3 million, and he started a marathon. He declared that he is starting from the scratch from $10,000, and he will make, I think, $10 million from 10,000. I don't remember in what period of time he declared he will do it. It's actually not that funny, because at the moment he is 200,000 plus. He's a very good player, actually. Yeah, but the interesting thing, he is a Ukrainian player who lives in Europe for a long time, but he still started this thread, this topic on GipsyTeam, and all the old players, all the old flames, I will say, came back. So in this topic, you can find comments from the players who didn't post on GipsyTeam, and we believe they stopped playing poker like 5, 7, 6 years ago. No, they are still playing. They are not posting that much, maybe some of them are playing pretty high stakes, something are grinding low stakes because something went wrong with them and with their careers, but they're still with us. Maybe we don't know about it, but when something hot is happening, when something like interesting is going on, they will resurface, I will say, and they will like in the in Tolkien books and in movies, like when the army of the dead, they came to rescue good guys at when I think Aragorn came for them. So I think when if I'm not as good looking as Viggo Mortensen, obviously, but if somehow I will imagine myself as an Aragorn and will ask for best Russian players of all times to come to support GipsyTeam, I think many of them will come.
Yeah, very interesting. So it sounds like what you're describing, actually, I remember that from 2+2. I think 2+2 was acquired by GipsyTeam. Is it correct?
No, it's absolutely incorrect.
Ah, interesting. The 2+2 story is basically.
I can tell you a story. Yeah, I mean, we were interested at some point, and we got in touch. I think not with David Sklansky, but with Mason Malmuth. I think he was the owner. But I will be honest. I mean, this is the reason for this podcast you are making. Yeah, he was absolutely delusional about his project as a business, and he was asking for amount of money which we can only like burst in laughter. This was all we can do when it was like the main thing. I was not personally involved in negotiations, but the guys they were negotiating with him. They say that the main thing was to keep a poker face, because he absolutely had no. I will say that 2+2 was always not a very good from the business standpoint. I mean, they don't know how to make business, but they still had this feeling. I don't know, like I never met Mason, and David is deceased now, so I don't want to say something, bad about him. But as far from what I read about him, he was kind of delusional in his life also. Kind of, I don't have any. It just, from my, it's my view, but I cannot, support it with facts. Yeah. So, but later, as far as I know, 2+2 was acquired by Russian guys who were behind the hand-to-node product.
Oh yeah.
I think they are the owners of 2+2 now. And after they bought the site, I remember I personally got in touch with them, and we wanted to make some business with them, maybe to help them to develop their affiliate business. But they were also not interested. They were like, we just bought it because we thought it was cool to be the owners of 2+2.
Maybe they just have so much money and didn't really care about it from the business. But actually, interesting what you're saying is 2+2 was at a point the place to be for strategy and all that stuff that you described for poker for GipsyTeam. And then at one point, people stopped posting. There was no strategy anymore on 2+2 because the games got tougher. People moved on to Skype.
Absolutely, and people were kind of, they didn't want to share this knowledge with everyone anymore, because there were a lot of like platforms. People were starting to earn money with their knowledge, with card runners and other projects. I remember signing for their project, which was owned by, I don't know, by Johnny Bucks and his I was paying even because I was watching videos there, and it was kind of, I stopped because there was actually nothing really new for me. I knew this stuff, but it was still interesting. Yeah. So people were writing books. You wrote one of them, or there was a book written by Eric Risen Lynch, John Pearl Jammer Turner, and Ape Styles Van Fleet. Very good book about tournaments. It was really, really excellent book. So people starting, to earn money with their brains. I mean, and also, for example, I remember I was playing mixed games already at that time, and we also stopped discussing mixed games hands on the forums. We had our own Skype group, and we discussed it over there with the people, who were already part of the crew, I will say. So
yeah, that's very interesting because when I remember Deuces Cracked, I was actually in a TV show for Deuces Cracked, 2 Months to Million as well, and there was a guy, I think it was Brian Roberts. He used to be like one of the best players back then, and he said that it's just way too cheap. Like even Deuces Cracked, Card Runners, $30 per month. That was just so cheap for everybody, and the knowledge was just all over the place, and the games got tougher and so on. So it was very, very, very,
2 Months to Millions. It's a show when they have this steam room, where they were breaking things.
Yeah.
I remember it.
So people actually back then were already thinking about this is what's interesting about quitting poker. Americans, and the games were super good at the point, but people probably just made so much money in before this new century. I mean, games were back then on pre-mine stuff. People who started very early got into very soft games.
Well, I think you are very optimistic. I think it's the same story in the States and in Russia for sure. People were making good money playing poker, but they were gambling it away on sports bets. They are gambling it away on crazy and also delusional backing projects, and so I don't. By my experience, I don't know a lot of people who were just poker players and who quit poker with real big money. In Russia, these people are few. I mean, people who started some poker-related business. Okay, it's poker. For example, I think the most successful one of the most successful poker players in Russia is Ivan Brixin, who is now the CEO of Pokerok, which is GG for Russia, let's say.
Oh wow!
So
wow.
I know that he's doing really well, and as a poker player, he was mediocre to not well. But now he's playing high stakes cash games with Antonius, with all this Chinese guy like Paul Foy and all this kind of stuff. But at some point he stopped playing poker and started working for poker sites and became now the CEO of. He's living in Dubai, driving a Lamborghini, but he's not a poker player anymore. Though his level in poker is quite fine. I mean, like no doubt about that. He's a good player. I mean, semi-professional, and but he's not making money with poker. Just a moment, I will open the door and come back. Sorry.
So one question that actually comes to my mind is that did GipsyTeam actually get an offer to sell the platform? Was it at any time in your interest? I know PokerStrategy sold, 2+2 was sold, all the training sites were closed or sold themselves. Did you get an offer? And if, why did you not sell? the Gypsy Team? And what is your plan for the future, for the next, let's say, how do you want to go for the next decade? What is your plan? How do you want to develop the platform in the next 10 years, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't think it's a public knowledge. I don't think it was ever mentioned even in Russia. We actually got an offer. I think it was 2000, maybe 13 or 14. At that time, PokerStars was trying to buy everything. They bought Poker News from Tony G, and actually through the guys who were running Poker News, and practically were already working for PokerStars, we got an offer from PokerStars, and and the offer was quite good for us, for the owners, because they understood that they won't be able to manage it as a site, to run it as a site. So we were offered to sell our shares, but to remain in charge, at least for some period of time. But the negotiations didn't even start because PokerStars got bought themselves. They were bought. They were bought by Amaya. Yeah, just I think it was like a month after they made us an offer, and we were not in a hurry. You know, we were already doing good at that time. We were making good money, and we were happy with PokerStars, with GipsyTeam as a business. But we were considering. After that, I will say there were no like real offers. Obviously, when it's a big thing and a big project, so there are always some talks with somebody, but never that serious. And the problem with this business is that it's not regulated. We are registered in Russia as an official like entity, but okay, obviously not all things are kind of run through this legal entity, and who will be now interested in buying some Russian, it's called закрытое акционерное общество, so like LLC, probably it's called in English, I don't know. I mean, who will be interested in buying like Russian LLC now these days? So it's there are a lot of I will say legal difficulties in these talks in this, and also I am a minority shareholder, and I will not sell even 0.1% because it's the main thing in my the main thing that I worked for in my life, the main project I created. I don't even like it. I love it. So I mean, like, yeah, we have some shareholders who sometimes, for example, I was very happy recently. I was able to buy 0.15% of GipsyTeam from the other shareholder who probably needed just some, I will say, cash. Yeah, and I was very happy, and I told my kids even. I have two sons, and I told them, well, I am investing in your future because, yeah. And the important thing about it is that we were always, it's actually interesting that those who are doing some small poker related businesses, they were always telling me and other members of GipsyTeam that you are like dinosaurs. You are not quick enough to adapt to the changing landscape of poker. But I will agree. Sometimes we are not quick enough. But we are like, I'm not a big expert in dinosaurs, but we are like the more adaptive dinosaur than the other big sites. For example, like PokerStrategy or 2+2. We managed to be much more adaptive and much more quick. And actually, we were quite, for example, when there was a boom of applications, for example, especially these Chinese applications, like Poker Master. Yeah. We found a way to work with them and to earn some money. It was some funny stories that to get money from China, we were actually getting money from Chinese restaurants here in Moscow, because they were getting our money in China from the owners of these application games.
Yeah,
because they needed to pay for the hoisin sauce, for example, to make the Chinese duck. I don't know if you are.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, and you cannot make a good Chinese duck without a hoisin sauce. And it's difficult. You need to get this hoisin sauce somehow from China, and need to pay for it in China. And we were helping them, and they were helping us with these Chinese guys. So yeah, I think, of course, we missed some opportunities, especially with these applications. There were some like big games, and money can be earned by, for example, by backing players, because many people who were making good money on these application games, they are not only getting their share of affiliate commission, they are also backing players to play there and all this kind of stuff. But we cannot do it because we are too big. We are not quick enough, to find these good games, good clubs. It's not that easy these days, and the games should be, at least they won't be clean. It's difficult to find clean games now, but their level of cleanliness should be enough to beat the games, because in some games, as you obviously know, and I don't know, probably your listeners and viewers also understand, unfortunately, some private games, live or on some applications, or even on some so-called regulated sites, are just unbeatable, because there are bots, there are cheaters, there are people who are sharing card information, and this is the main issue with online poker, obviously, these days. I mean,
so when you're talking about bots and AI and stuff like that, I guess you could even nowadays just play with ChatGPT on your site, and ChatGPT probably could play GTO.
As far as I understand, we published few articles on that on our site, and I was editing these articles. This is all my knowledge about that. But as far as I understand, this so-called text artificial intelligence models, thankfully, they are still total donkeys in poker. I don't know why, okay. But we can still beat ChatGPT. We cannot beat any, you and me, we cannot beat any like real poker bot, but ChatGPT, we can crush them.
Read it. Okay, that's interesting.
It will change for sure, but at the moment, we are fine in this extent, at least.
Yeah. But when you think about it, where do you think is poker heading? So because like you said, there used to be just solid games on PokerStars, full tilt poker back then, party poker. Then people then came like account sharing, then like multi-accounting, where you said, all right, that's okay, I don't even care. But then with the bots, with the solvers, got really tough. Then you had the apps where cheating happened. Where do you think poker is heading? Is it more like live poker nowadays because there you can control it more?
Well, live poker is also like a minefield, kind of a minefield also, because obviously there were many scandals recently with people. They prohibited to put phones on the uh, now on the table, even on the I
In
don't
their
know.
pocket and whatever they had to leave
Yeah,
it.
because they were using this kind of small. They were using it, and they started dealing cards for them not to be to slide them,
All right, all right.
because
Yeah.
otherwise people were using different devices to, and they
Wow.
just knew what you had if
Wow.
a
Crazy.
dealer was dealing. So yeah, well, cheaters, big money on the line, and cheaters will always cheat, and good guys will always struggle against them. And hopefully, those who are organizing the games, whether it's live or online, they will will also become like more and more deep in their understanding of cheating, and in their fight against this awful disease, I will say. But yeah, poker changes, and it's now the first task for any poker player who wants to be winning now is to find a game which is beatable. Uh, Maybe because there is no cheating, maybe because the rake is beatable, because there are some
Mhm.
games where the rake is just unbeatable. They are and it's they used to laugh about a famous Daniel Negreanu quote, "More rake is
Yeah,
better."
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
of course, it was kind of absurd, but I like Daniel Negreanu a lot, and it won't change. I like him as a person, and I like he makes mistakes sometimes in his views and in his, but he owns them. I mean, like, he's very sincere person, and he is not painting himself as an angel. Yeah. Well, for example, you mentioned multi-accounting. It's kind of, uh, I think it's disgusting that the guy who is describing himself as a fighter for the justice, and as a man in a white costume, as they say in
yeah.
Russia, is Justin Bonomo, who is the biggest hypocrite in the poker world from my point of view, and who was the first one who was multi-accounting, and just like,
Yeah.
and I like Daniel Negreanu also because he is like a hate of Justin Bonomo. It's kind of off topic, but it's kind
Yeah.
of a very like vulnerable topic for me.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, but actually it's kind of, like, there are some games where the rake is huge, but you can negotiate for rake back, and
Mm.
that only people who are not very worried about rake are playing in these games. So probably they are not professional, and these games are much more beatable than like games which where rake is low, but you know the players are not just yeah. For example, I mean, like for example, I played a lot online last year because Phenom Poker, a new project, was introduced, and they had this mixed games, which I am now playing a lot. And at first, the game were very soft, you know, like, and there were players who were just learning the rules by playing. But even on regulated site, you need to find a moment. And actually, I didn't. I won a lot, and then I lost more than a half of my winnings because I didn't catch this moment like in Rounders movie. If you don't understand who is the sucker at the table, you are the sucker, yeah, you are the loser. Or I don't remember what exact word they used in English version of the movie. Original version of the movie. Yeah, so this is the issue now. You should first find games that are beatable, but there are poker tournaments, and I think they are now as it always was like that. I think that they are the most, I will say, clean form of poker these days. And newcomers, amateurs are still big fans because they are coming to poker for the competition. And so they still, for example, we are organizing some online tournaments under the oath, I will say, of GipsyTeam, and pretty low stakes. And always a lot of new players are registered for these tournaments. And actually in Russia, we now have a real boom of so-called sports poker. It's actually a very funny thing. People are organizing poker tournaments without prizes. So you are paying just 1,000, let's say, rubles. You can re-enter, of course, but the maximum you can win is like a cap or a card protector. Yeah, and they have hundreds of players coming and registering, and thankfully in these tournaments there is no cheating, but there is no money also.
Yeah, because you can't win money. It's just like real sports now, where you just want to prove that you are good.
Yeah, that's well, I don't like to call it sports poker because it has nothing to do with sports. People are just gambling, pushing all in almost every hand and rebuying and re-entering. But maybe with the popularity of these events, the government will think about allowing poker, not live poker, I mean, not only in so-called gaming zones, which are four in Russia, but also to allow this at least tournament poker, because tournament poker, I don't think it has a huge difference with like chess tournaments or let's say pool tournaments or like snooker tournaments or something like that. So hopefully at some moment it will be allowed back in Russia. But I think, yeah, tournament poker is still, you know, we can see it during the World Series of Poker right now. People are still hundreds of thousands and people are playing, and especially in these big events like $300 buy-ins, $500 buy-ins. I mean,
so do you think for the amateurs, for people like people like Scout and other guys there was one guy from Czech Republic, Nazut, something like that. He always came, actually, he was only playing heads up. He came to my table a lot, to the same players. He was just donking the money away. Did they move to live poker, to tournaments, because they realized, so did that happen? Do you think that weak players who know they're losing, they want to lose their money in live tournaments nowadays?
Yeah, well, some of them just don't like these tournaments. Tournaments are a grind, and the problem with tournaments for rich guys is that you need to sit for a few days, and you need to fold a lot of hands, and they just want this, like this.
Yeah.
It's for them. It's a gambling disease. It's a narcotic from them. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that most of them move for tournaments. Some of them probably, yeah. They, for example, and they found those who understand them in the organizers of Triton series, because the Triton
Yeah.
series is organized by the people who used to play high stakes cash games. They are Paul Foy, Richard Young. They are the owners of Triton and all these turbo events, where they recently published the results, overall results. And the strongest tournament Russian player, Artur Martirosyan, who recently actually lost heads up to Negreanu in 100K buy-in PLO event at World Series, but he already won another No Limit Hold'em 25K event at World Series. So he's by far the best Russian poker tournament player. He's down $6 million at Triton.
Wow.
It's official statistics, it was published recently.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, those gamblers, they like these Triton events because it's just very turbo structured and also like the biggest now GG network. I like to play a tournament, a no limit tournament here and there. I also like it, but they have this the most tournaments, even $300, $500 buy-ins. They have 15-minute levels, but after the end of re-entry period, the levels become 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So
Super.
The most important part of the tournaments is just like 10 big blinds deep, and and I hate it personally. But when I talk to my friends who are working for Pokerok, it's Russian like GG, they say, you don't understand. People who are, we are interested in certain people, and they like this because they don't want to sit 8 hours playing online tournament. So I don't think that people are these people who made your fortune by losing you in heads-up matches. They just probably find something else. Maybe they are playing golf now. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Thank you very much for the insights. It was really interesting, even for me who played for so long. There are so many.
It was a pleasure, and I think it was interesting for listeners that we not only cover this like Russian poker issues, but discussed a little bit the current state of online poker and the difference between online and live. So it was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.